In this video, I want to present an approach for thinking about the effect of product price changes on profitability. Unless you're in a regulated industry, an all too common pitfall when pricing is to view price as following costs. That is, you set price in order to cover your costs and achieve a target profit. A strategic approach instead seeks to understand how price affects costs and volumes. It asks questions such as, given our cost structure, what combinations of prices and volumes would allow us to reach our objectives? Quantitatively evaluating the profitability of a price change consists of two steps. Step 1, develop a baseline for comparison. This is usually the current profit. Step 2, for a proposed price change, calculate either the change in profit or the change in volume required to maintain the same profit. For example, for a price decrease, how much would sales volume have to increase to profit from a price reduction? And for a price increase, how much could sales volume decline before a price increase becomes unprofitable? To understand how price changes and their associated change in volume affect profit, we break down profit into its components. Profit is sales revenue less costs. Sales revenue is sales volume times price. Sales volume affects profit in two ways: its effect on sales revenue and its effect on total variable costs. Price changes affect sales volume. For a given price change, our goal will be to understand how these two factors, price and volume, collectively affect profit. Here is the fundamental profit equation in its simplest form. Costs are succinctly described as being either variable, i.e. those that vary with each unit, such as the cost of raw materials and packaging, and fixed costs, i.e. costs such as rent or lease payments and utilities that don't vary with each unit, or at least for the range of units under consideration. Unit contribution margin is unit price less unit variable costs. Total contribution margin is unit contribution margin times quantity sold. Profit is total contribution margin less fixed costs. The quantity we can sell will vary with price, so let's denote that quantity is a function of price. Let's use this stylized example. A manufacturing firm with annual sales of 1 million units. Each product is sold for $10. Variable costs are $6 per unit. Fixed costs for plant, equipment, and SG&A is $3 million. Profit is calculated as the unit contribution margin times volume less fixed costs. The profit is $1 million. Can we do better? As a start, let's calculate what sales volumes are required to maintain the current $1 million profit at alternative price points of plus 20% and minus 20% from the current price. Effect of a 20% price cut. The starting point is the current profitability, shown by the highlighted rectangle. The width is the unit margin, which is the $10 unit price less the $6 unit variable cost. The height is Q, the sales volume. Fixed costs don't come into play because they are just a constant deduction from the total margin to arrive at profit. So the area of the rectangle is 4 million, corresponding to the $3 million fixed costs and the $1 million profit. When we cut price 20% from $10 to $8, we want the profitability, i.e. the area of the rectangle, to remain unchanged. The rightmost point on the x-axis shifts from 10 to 8. For the area of the rectangle to remain unchanged, the height needs to go from 1 million to 2 million. Hence, to maintain the current profitability and under an 80% price cut, sales volume needs to double to 2 million units. Effect of a 20% price increase. We follow the same approach for a price increase of 20% from $10 to $12. We want the area of the rectangle to remain unchanged. The rightmost point on the x-axis shifts from 10 to 12. For the area of the rectangle to remain unchanged, the height drops from 1 million units to 667,000 units. For a given percentage price change, what percentage change in volume is required in order to maintain profit at its current level? In order to generalize, let's do this for unit variable cost expressed as a percentage of the unit price. With a little bit of algebra, we can express the required change in volume as a function of A, the unit variable cost as a percentage of the unit price, and B, the percentage change in price. Fixed costs, which are just a deduction from the total contribution, do not factor in. The vertical axis of this graph is the required change in sales volume as a percentage of the current volume in order to maintain the current profitability. The horizontal axis is unit variable cost as percentage of the current unit price. We plot the result of a 20% price decrease discussed earlier. Under unit variable costs of 60% of price, volume needs to double or increase 100% in order to maintain profitability. We plot this point in green on the graph. Now consider various changes in price. For a 40% margin, i.e. variable costs are 60% of the unit price, for a 10% price decrease, volume must increase 33% to maintain profitability. We plot this data point in purple. Now consider price increases. Under a 10% price increase, volume can decrease 20% to maintain profitability. We plot this data point in orange. Under a 20% price increase, volume can decrease by 1/3 to hold profitability. We plot this data point in light blue. Now let's visualize what happens when we hold the price change constant at a 20% price decrease and change our cost structure. The horizontal axis is different cost structures. Lower unit variable costs, i.e. higher unit margins, mean a smaller increase in sales volume is needed to maintain the same profitability. For example, if variable costs are only 20% of the current price, then sales volume only needs to increase by 1/3 in order to maintain profitability. Now let's visualize the effects of different price changes and different cost structures at the same time. What is very clear is for the same percentage price decrease compared to the percentage price increase requires a much larger change in sales volume to maintain the current profitability. Compare the slope implied by the green data points to the slope implied by the light blue data points. And the rate sales volume needs to change increases for lower margin products. As we move further right, the data points get increasingly further from the zero axis. In our earlier stylized example, unit price was $10, unit variable costs were $6, volume was 1 million units, and fixed costs were $3 million, resulting in $1 million in profit. Now let's consider how a 10% improvement in each of these profit drivers affects the bottom line. All else equal, improving price 10% from $10 to $11 doubles profit, or an increase of 100%. Alternatively, all else equal, improving variable costs by 10% from $6 to $5.40 results in a profit increase of 60%. All else equal, improving sales volume by 10% from 1 million to 1.1 million units results in a profit increase of 40%. Finally, all else equal, improving fixed costs by 10% from $3 million to $2.7 million results in a profit increase of 30%. A McKinsey study published a number of years ago in the Harvard Business Review came to a similar conclusion. Comparing a similar percentage improvement in price, variable costs, sales volume, and fixed costs for almost 2,500 firms, they found that price had the largest overall effect on profits. Back to our stylized example. Given our unit variable costs, we can find the optimal profit maximizing price given the relationship between price and sales volume. Demand curves are downward sloping. As price increases, sales volumes decline. In our stylized example, the profit maximizing price is $10.50 per unit. Some further reading. These two timeless books are my favorite books on pricing. This concludes this video.